Good day, and welcome to Earth Medicine for the Soul. My name is Oakwalker, and together with my friend Stronghorse, we're here to offer you a good half hour of relaxing and thought-provoking conversations regarding Earth-loving traditions and practices. Have a seat, take a run or a walk, perhaps your gardening gloves, and settle in for a nice time. And we're back. Okay. This has been a very, very interesting week for me, and it's been because of the way things are going and the way everything's shifting in front of us all. Uh, it seems like it's getting easier to just be myself and to just be real lately. And I think that in our last discussion, Stronghorse was talking about that, and he was going, "Wow, is this what it feels like to be optimistic?" And I find that to be very funny because I'm having the same feelings, the same realizations. It's like, whoa, all my life I've been, told that I'm no good, and I've established all of these patterns in my head that that are dismal. They're like the doom scrolling isn't on my phone. It's all inside of here. And so the question becomes, when things do begin to change, I mean, what's going on? How do we recognize and grab onto those most positive aspects of the new energies that are coming down on the planet? And I think that it would be really interesting to sort of uh, dance around those ideas because I've got a few things that I do, and I'm really interested to see how you would pick up on that, Mr. Stronghorse. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that well, two things. One, pretty much the people that are carrying the brightest lights are the ones that have been told you're really not worth a shit. I mean, that's and that's just a blanket reality, man. I mean, you could every time I ever read anything by anybody that has anything that I feel like it's worth listening to, they all say the same thing. It was, oh God, my childhood sucked, man. I can't
Yeah.
fucking believe how bad it was. What did I
If you
pick
knew
that
where I
family
came
for?
from.
Jesus Christ. What's I thinking? You know, I mean, you and I laugh about next time we're going to read the small print in the contract,
Right, right.
because we're,
Wait a minute.
we weren't really ready for this. But yeah, but the truth is, we did read it. We're just,
Yeah.
we're laughing about it and stuff because what else are you going to do? You got to laugh or
Oh,
cry. But
yeah.
I think that so the trick becomes, how do you get out of these repeating patterns of self-defeatism?
Yes,
Because
there's the
that
word.
that's what you've been taught, and it's so easy to stay in that because you've been brought up like that, so you think, well, this is just what it is, man. I mean,
Hmm.
this is how it works. This is how you operate, and everybody around you is mirroring that to you because all of us choose the people we want to mirror back to us who we are. And so if
Uh-huh.
we're doing a self-feeding trip, then we usually surround ourselves with people who are like, yeah, things are really sucky, aren't they?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Misery loves company, as they say.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Misery loves company, right? Exactly. And so that was one of the hardest things I had to do, because I mean, if you go from being a real estate broker to a shaman, you're gonna lose some friends, man.
Yeah,
Your
right.
social circles are gonna
Oh,
change
yeah.
dramatically,
Me too. And at work, I went
and
from an engineering technician to a shaman. It was like, you don't even talk about that at work. Just don't mention that.
yeah, no, no, you stay very, very quiet with what, yeah, I told people, I said, when I go to Sundance, I tell people that I work with, I says, yeah, every year I go out and volunteer to work with damaged youth in the desert. Yeah,
Oh, that's a good
which is
thing.
kind of true, really. I mean, I wasn't,
Yeah,
but you
because
know,
we all are. Yeah.
so it's really important to talk about what are we doing to be able to prepare ourselves for the new world, and
Hmm.
because there's not a lot of there's not a lot of operation manuals out there that say here's what you do, step one, step two, step three. So I think it's real important that we start talking about that and bringing that to people's attention. And I think the first place we need to start is your health. You've got to be very centered on your physical health, your emotional health, your mental
Aware of
health,
your
and your
body.
spiritual health.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean it's hugely important. My wife keeps saying, I just don't feel like eating anymore. And we both agree that, yeah, I don't I just don't my appetite's changing,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah, yeah.
so and I think it is part of this shift. I mean, we're seeking to become lighter, and so there's a focus on our health that's almost mandatory. I mean, you got your volunteer work to keep your health, but then also there's sort of a mandatory element to it where you find yourself doing things that you wouldn't have normally done before out of a desire to do them. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh. Yes, it does. And out of a desire to stay strong so that you can be in the mode of the helper or the light bearer or this becomes an actual motivation. And there's another part to this too, in that your physical body is 1/4 of your presence on the planet, right? In the some of the traditions I had studied in, they would make this square and they would say, you got to, and my medicine wheel too, right? My medicine wheel has 4 directions on it, and one of them is physical, the earth, one of them is emotional, the water, one of them is spiritual, the air, and one of them is intellectual, the mind, and that's the fire. And achieving a balance amongst all of these things requires that you pay attention to your body and your mind and your emotions and your spirit. But people, lately we've been leaving out our body a lot because some of the spiritual people are saying, well, I'm trying to become all spirit and and so it's tempting to think that you don't need to pay attention to your body if you're trying to become all one thing,
Yeah, I
the
think that this kind of goes back to our conversations about authenticity. You
mhm.
know, um, I've seen a lot of people who um, think that if they stay on this really strict certain kind of diet, that somehow it's going to take them into some new spiritual dimension. And
Right.
I never
They'll
got
be
that.
more
I never
holy
understood
if
that.
they do that.
Yeah, I remember one time we were coming back on a ceremony, and so Swifter has got this big table of, and a lot of them were Californians, but there are a bunch of people sitting with him and stuff. And we were in a Mexican restaurant, and he grabbed a bag of chips and just poured salt all. And the look on these people's faces was like, "Oh my God." Oh man, I thought this is priceless, because it was such a Texas thing to do, grab the chips and salt them up, and everybody's like, oh my God, he's salted.
That is so
But
impure.
I know, I know I got off on that, but anyway, I think you got to follow your intuition and your sense of balance
Yeah,
you just got to be authentic with if you're desiring a cheeseburger, go get a cheeseburger.
exactly.
If you're desiring something light, a garden salad or something, go get that. But you gotta pay attention to that inner voice that's guiding you, because that's just part of all this medicine wheel you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's your medicine wheel actually exists within you, and
Yes.
so each one of those directions have a voice, and they have a purpose, and they're either going to be an ally or they're going to be a tyrant.
Uh-huh.
And the difference
It's
between
well
those
put.
two is your willingness to be authentic with it.
Hmm.
Because if you're authentic with it, it respects you and it responds to you with respect. And what happens is your authenticity becomes more of ongoing awareness, so
Yeah.
to speak. And so in the last session, we were talking about how things are starting to change and things are starting to open up. And so authenticity is going to be rewarded and performance is going to be slammed, I think,
Yeah.
where the past, it's been the flip, if
Yeah.
you're authentic, you kind of like people turn their nose up at you. But if you're a performer, everybody's like, wow, they really have it together.
Yeah.
But they were following, people learned, I mean, so there's a limited amount of reality in when you're performative because your performance is only as good as each time you're on stage.
Yeah. And
You know,
so
go
much here.
ahead.
So, okay, so I want to say the words purity test because we started this off with Swiftier throwing salt on his, okay, he failed the purity test, right? He just literally just offended everybody in the room because they have these standards that have been set performatively, and they're performative because when you're not in your authentic self, you are trying to please others or impress others, and that's where the performative part comes. And
Right.
I just hate purity tests, and I've been that guy who intentionally fails them just to, fuck you and your purity test. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go get me a cheeseburger.
Me
And
too.
yeah,
I'm really bad about that.
right, I am. But on the other hand, if my brainstem and my intuition and my in the now connection are telling me that a cheeseburger is literally the best thing I can do for myself right now, I'm going to go get me a cheeseburger, right? And if it's telling
Right.
me that lately I've been eating more liver, there's another failure of the purity test. Oh my God, that's a organ meat. Well, I think I need it, and it seems to be making me feel better. So there's these kind of things that have to become uh, an individual decision. Your authenticity is always about your individualism, and I don't mean that kind of individualism that politicians love to tout, where you don't need a community or any of that. I'm talking about the individual relationship between you and your creator, and it's going to develop uniquely for everybody. Um, and that's where we can then become light bearers because we can shine the reality of what we are out into the world and put the bullshit aside. That's what I've got on
What
that.
came to me when you were talking about this, it was kind of interesting. I never really thought about it till now. So many different religions or spiritual paths, they put the apprentices on a system of performance with the idea that that will lead them to their authenticity.
Yeah, right.
And it's an interesting paradox because it doesn't, unless
That's
unless you get to that point where you go, I'm out of here. This ain't working out for me.
exactly.
Seriously, then you leave the teacher and then you become your own teacher, which is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You're supposed to do. But now you're armed with knowledge and you're armed with knowing.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to tell you about this. This guy brought up in the last session about this Native American was talking about his elders, and he was talking about fasting. And he says we send our young men out for a rites of passage, and he says we put them specifically on that they're supposed to go out into the woods and fast. And he says we do that because we want to create within them a certain knowing. And I thought,
Hmm.
boy, there you go.
Yeah. Hit
I
it.
mean, so, I mean, they said our ceremonies are specifically tailored to create knowing because that knowing is what leads to authenticity.
Yeah.
Knowledge leads to performance.
Yes. Bingo. That was very good. And you hit it. we talked about this earlier too, when you said that all elders, uh, when they wake up in the morning, they go out and they do something that connects them in gratitude uh, and in their souls to the earth. I do this every morning, and you do too, as far as I know. And we don't do it the same way. You and I aren't going out there going, "What does Frank do to get in touch with the earth?" You know, I'm
Right,
like
right, right.
going out there and I'm facing all the directions, and I like to pour the first thing I'm about to imbibe that day. I like to offer a little bit of that out. It's usually coffee. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's something else. But coffee is usually the first thing I imbibe every day. So,
Oh.
oh, uh-oh, nah, another purity test failure.
No, yeah, coffee's the last thing in my world will go. Yeah, if I just get me to that first cup, man. Just get me to the first cup.
Right, and I'm out there pouring half it on the ground, going, "Hey, East, son, thank you."
Yeah, I totally don't do that. I might do that with the second cup, but not the first. It's all about me, man.
Yeah, we got a
Oh,
bigger pot, which I'm terribly grateful for.
that's right. Thank God there's co. I saw a thing the other. Colleen drinks tea, and I
Uh-huh.
saw a great thing about it. Scientists have discovered that the best tea is when the one you pour out and refill with coffee. I want to send that to her, like, oh man, that's too funny.
Oh, tea's
Anyway,
great.
so
I
yeah, I
like
mean,
tea.
that's key deal there, is that your authenticity is something that you birth yourself
Yeah.
through trial and error. And but
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm not putting all spiritual paths or religious things down because there is an element of knowing and knowledge that arms you with what you need to be able to awaken yourself. And everybody that comes onto the planet is a different soul looking for a
Yeah.
different trip for a different purpose. And so, whatever that is, the soul and their spirit, their higher self will lead them into that. But the point is, you can't be performative with it. You have to step out over the performance thing into your own authenticity and
Yeah.
allow that to flower.
Yeah. And you can be performative even with your spiritual guides. Uh Sometimes I have to remind myself that if I go down and visit shamanically the center of the earth, and I don't see the Earth Mother come out and give me a giant hug, that doesn't mean that I failed in anything, right? It just means that it's different today. But you can't just go down there and invent this vision, right? You can't just go down and say, "Oh, here I am. I'm going to hug the Earth Mother. Okay, thanks, Earth Mother. Okay, now I'm going to run back up and be on the surface of the planet." And that's you're not performing for anybody in particular, no other human soul, but it's still a performative thing, right? You're still out there going, "Okay, Grandmother Earth, Grandmother Moon, I'm doing this for you. Aren't you happy about that?" And that reminds me of a story once when I was really early in this tradition. I was so proud of myself for overcoming, for starting to get over myself. It was a big deal for me that I had begun to learn to set myself aside. And I was still young. I was proud of myself for this. And so I remember once I was walking past a mountain at the foot of a mountain, Mount Palomar, in San Diego, where there's a huge observatory on top, and it's part of it's part of the reservation there. And I was walking by, and I'm like, "Hey, Mount Palomar, I'm here." And I just got this feeling of almost anger from the mountain. It was like, "What the fuck do I care if you're here? I'll chew you up and spit you out, you little pitten thing. What are you so proud of?" It's just like, whoa. I didn't mean it like that. But
Yeah,
it was like my whole soul just went into a sense of huge dread, like, oh my God, the mountain's angry with me. And it was just like, what do you think you're doing being so proud down there? I was just like, oh my God.
that's
Yeah,
man, that's huge teaching,
yeah.
huge teaching. I've seen that out of so many different spiritual leaders who, they're so fed, they're so full of themselves that, the most important thing for them is to impress everybody else. And,
Uh-huh.
and I think, God, man, you're so off base. And it just is, I mean, that is the biggest teaching that we have to get in terms of authenticity is that authenticity is not something that is supposed to impress anybody. You
Right,
know,
exactly.
it's not. I mean, it's your gift, man. It's your treasure. It's the thing that you hold most dear to yourself
Hmm.
because it is who you are,
Hmm.
and that doesn't need, you don't need to get approval from anybody on that because
Right. Or the mountains or the
it'll make,
spirits or
because
anybody.
if that's right. Because the minute you do, boy, you step right back into performance, you
Right,
know, and
exactly.
and the mountain is the first. You think this mountain about you? Do I look like a performer to you? You know, you know, I do, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had the same thing with the relationship with the mountains and Taos. I mean,
Hmm.
you know, they remember me, and because I had a previous lifetime in the Taos Pueblo. And
Hmm.
so when I go there, it's like an old friend seeing one another again,
Uh-huh.
and that takes center stage. That's where I um, have a love affair with those mountains because they know me and they acknowledge me. And so there's nothing I got to prove. I mean, it's already, that's there, man. They,
Mm.
they give you that recognition. And so
Yeah.
when you're in your authentic self, you get these sort of like recognitions from the natural world because they have knowing. They already have knowing. Humans are trying to develop knowing. They already got it, and so they know who you are. They know what your authenticity looks like. And so that's why in the last session we were talking about when you go outside, connect in with the outdoors and bring it into you because that is what facilitates the growth of knowing. And knowing leads you to your authentic self. That's my take on it.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah, so yeah, I don't even want to tell any more of those stories, but that mountain story just leads me down to so many similar lessons like that, where it just, I'm like, and so now I'm thinking I want to, shouldn't I maybe go back to Chaco Canyon and find out if they're okay with me now? You
Right.
know.
Right. How you like me now?
Yeah, have I, what would you work on next if you were me?
Right. I love Chaco, man.
Yeah,
Whew.
I do too.
An amazing place.
It is. So
We ought to
anyway,
plan a trip down there sometime, I
oh
mean,
yeah, I'll go.
that'd be a great medicine trip.
Hmm.
Colleen
Yeah,
wants to go. So, well, I think that, that in this circling back and talking about how we're trying to help people recognize what it is within themselves that's allowing them to align with the new world. The biggest thing that the best temperature gauge I think you can have is that the world around you starts becoming familiar.
that's beautiful. And it becomes
It's like
and a safe place.
a safe place and it's
Yeah,
familiar and it's welcoming and it's loving.
yeah,
There's a loving sense to it that is because they know that and you're growing in your knowing and they want to assist you in that movement.
yes,
And so as you evolve into that self-awareness and that self-knowing and that self embracing of your own authentic self, you begin to transcend into the other dimension
hmm
Fifth dimension becomes not something that is abstract or
Weird.
non-reachable. It
Yeah.
becomes you begin to fade into it, and it becomes a part of your reality.
Yeah.
Probably in small doses at first because you wouldn't be able to handle just going boom, I'm
Yeah.
there, you know. But I think slowly you begin to fade into that because your knowing is like your ticket is like that's the ticket you punch to get in, I think.
Yeah. And then from there, you can start walking in an attuned fashion, right? Just staying tuned in, getting from door A to door B, to use a previously used example. And then on both sides of those doors, and then just staying in it all the time. But it starts in the morning.
That's exactly right. I mean, it starts in the morning, and so I think that more and more people are going to be looking for what is it that I need to do to be able to, I mean, this whole thing's new, man.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I would put months on the timeline, I mean, I think the transition's been going on for quite a while, but our perception of time and reality is radically different from most others, and I think it's going to probably, I don't even know if it'll be within our lifetime, but there will certainly be a point where more and more people are coming from a greater heart space and a greater space of knowing and a greater space of authenticity that's ever been seen on this planet before,
Yeah.
ever,
Yeah. And I
period.
think we're getting to the tipping point, like you said, in a few months or years, very a short period of time, even for humans, I think we're going to start seeing things tip in a big way. And I cannot wait to be able to go out on the streets and meet a whole bunch of open up people, you know? That's be
God, it
so
would be
cool.
awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, 3224. So let's thank everybody. And truly, if you're still with us, the amount of gratefulness that I am sending to you right now is unfathomable. We have been doing this a while now, and it has become more and more relevant as we've gone through all of these processes. I've grown. I know Stronghorse has grown. And I hope that what we're doing here helps everybody else to grow too, or at least get rid of some bullshit. That would be a real great thing to feel like I was a part of. Anyway, thank you so very much. I hope that everybody has the most beautiful night or day that they have left inside of them. And we will come back at a later date and send nothing but love and joy to you all. Thank you.